welcome to Geeking Out at the Tower podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and today I'm joined by
Kevin, Ali,
Keith, Wendell.
So today we're going to talk about board games as our main topic, but before that, let's get into some news. So did everyone see that Jurassic World trailer that came out recently?
I did.
Yeah, I did. I did not.
How's that possible? It's like 2 minutes.
I wasn't interested in it, that's all.
How can you not? Did you not see Jurassic Park when it came out?
I did. I was never super interested in it.
You
just
had a
because-
horrible childhood.
Just because you've seen the first movie doesn't mean you should see a teaser trailer or a trailer for a movie.
Jurassic Park.
You doesn't have to be super interested in.
Jurassic Park, when it came out, I don't care what your interests were. Everyone saw Jurassic Park.
Everyone fell in love with dinosaurs again, and
For someone who loves dragons, I'm gonna say dinosaurs are the next closest thing to real life dragons.
Which is fine.
It's
Dinosaurs
very
are
bizarre.
fine.
bizarre.
I saw the first movie. It didn't catch me as much as I think other movies at the time when I was
they're not
younger.
Draco.
Everyone's allowed their opinions. I like Jurassic Park, but if Kevin doesn't like it, whatever.
He could have
I
spent
only-
2
I
minutes
only-
to watch the trailer.
Obviously, someone doesn't really care about this podcast. But
I only watched
you know.
the first movie, so I know everyone else has seen the second and the third. And I kind of just
You
ignored.
haven't seen Jurassic World 2: The Lost World?
I have not bought.
Jurassic World 2,
Park
Jurassic
3.
Park
I know that
Scratch 3.
I know that Jeff Goldblum comes back. He has a black daughter, very progressive movie, and then she does some gymnastics to kick some rappers in the face.
So stupid.
So yeah.
dumb, so
and Vince Vaughn is in it.
Anyway, so back to the Jurassic World trailer. Apparently, the park's been open for a while now. It's all full-fledged, going on as, you know, the original owner conceived it as. And humans being humans, we decided to create a hybrid between two dinosaurs, apparently,
At an amusement park.
at an amusement park, just because they could. And that one goes rampant, and everyone has to flee the park because this monster dinosaur is freaking crazy.
Because obviously they didn't learn it from the other times.
No.
No.
You know, humans, we're doomed to make the same mistakes. I enjoyed the trailer greatly. It gave me the feelings that I think I'm going to enjoy this as much as maybe not as much as I enjoyed Jurassic Park 1, but, you know, it might bring some of that good feels back. And so I think, you know what, I'm happy for this trailer.
I like the trailer, and I'm really happy that they tied back to the old films by playing the same theme song throughout it.
Yes.
But I'm worried that it's going to be a lot like the first one, because they have the same sort of dynamic. You got the expert, you got some kids, you got a family, and you got a doctor that doesn't know what he's doing.
So stick with what was good.
Well, they learned from the second and third one that probably, you know, it's been a good, 20 years?
Yeah, sometime.
Since the first one came out?
Sometime.
Or close to?
Close
or
to.
15? You know what, we can go back a bit, and it's not a remake, it's like a reboot.
Yeah.
With no Lost World and no
I thought it was a continuation.
It's a continuation,
Yeah.
I thought, but I'm just worried that this one might be like another Godzilla 2000.
No.
I'm not that worried.
No, I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
I liked the trailer, but when they were trying to figure out what did you make, and they kept saying they didn't say, my brain was like, well, we made a dinosaur, we made a T-Rex with longer arms.
I think
and
that's
then,
what it is.
And then the guy's like, why the hell did you do that? The scientist like, science for the lulz. I don't know.
See,
That's how science is.
I heard the rumor that it wasn't longer arms, it was that they gave him thumbs.
And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of Deep Blue Sea. We just gave a dinosaur a bigger head, a bigger brain, and now it can think for itself, but for some reason it's just gonna be killer. It's gonna kill everybody.
But that's what it is.
It's ridiculous. But isn't in the third one wasn't it like they evolved? They managed to evolve past from when they died. In the third one, they go back to the island. Or is that the second one?
Basically the island has been deserted for a while.
Yeah, and they got smarter.
Basically a plane crashed, or a kid was on
the premise was for the dinosaurs. They had learned and they got smarter.
Well, the raptors, but the raptors were always
I thought it was genetics where the females became males so they could mate.
No, because they chose...
No, that was in the first one.
That was in the first one.
Yeah,
where
that's how they're making eggs and stuff. I thought it was
all
pretty
bleed
cool,
together.
and it also reminded me of a Robert Kirkman comic called Amazing Dinosaur or Awesome Dinosaur, and it's basically a super smart T-Rex that goes on adventures with a little boy, and he made himself some robotic arms, and he controls them with his little tiny T-Rex arms. So I just like, this is weird. They should give the creator of The Walking Dead some credit here. Just dinosaur with bigger arms.
Don't they have that in Axe Cop? Don't they have a buddy dinosaur that
Oh, they
helps
do!
out?
Oh, God. Like, it just, like, I don't, my brain just hurts a little bit from this. I'm reading way too much into it. Continue. Sorry.
So, from this trailer, are you excited to see this movie?
A little bit, yeah.
I'm excited, but a little wary, because like it could just be another horror movie where they don't see you don't see the actual dinosaur to the end of the movie.
Oh, you're right. You don't see anything. it's true. From the trailer, no. There's nothing exciting about the trailer.
I like how Cheryl trolls her sons. Cheryl from Archer trolls her sons.
I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think it'll be a lot like the first one, where you know what, you didn't see the T-Rex in the first bit. When it comes, that T-Rex is a MF T-Rex out there to kick some butt.
It makes a big entrance.
Yeah, and it keeps up that like whole thing. Definitely looking forward to it. I love the first movie. If they capture some of that, this movie is gonna be awesome in my opinion.
A little quick correction: that comic I was talking about is called Super Dinosaur.
Awesome.
An idea made by his son.
Yeah, movie. Meh.
You didn't even see the trailer.
Yeah,
But he's not. But he's just that's how hard he does not. That's how hard he meant about it.
Oh well, I guess you'll see the movie when it comes out. And then other news, also this past week, what came out was the Star Wars teaser, quote unquote, trailer.
So I'm gonna be Kevin for this one. Kevin on Jurassic Park. Meh.
Did you see the trailer?
Except I did see the teaser, and I don't give a shit.
I'm on the same boat. The teaser was not that great. It was neat, but I watched it. I'm like, man, the fake one was better.
You have to be a Star Wars fan to be excited for this movie.
I don't know. Like, I saw the trailer and I was underwhelmed. And then I told people, like, yo, the trailer's out. And I was like, be warned, underwhelmed. And then I watched their facial expressions as they got super giddy when at first they thought it was going to be crap. And it then turned to be mediocre goodness. So I think they did what a teaser has to do. They showed you the key things that you really want to see, which is basically the Millennium Falcon, that they have good graphics, and that there's going to be a bad guy. They showed you a stupid sword, which, let's be honest...
He could have been a good guy.
Using someone else's lightsaber? We don't know that. Maybe there are no bad guys in this movie.
You can actually
They said
find
the Sith was awakened.
No, they said the Force
is awakened. But they do mention something about the Siths and then the light side as well.
Actually, I don't remember any of the words in the teaser.
All 14 of them.
So when I first watched it, very underwhelming. But then as I watched other people get super psyched about it, I was like, yeah, there's some good parts about this thing.
Star of the movie, black guy in the desert.
Oh, you know who that was, right?
It was Attack from the Block.
That's Moses from Attack the Block.
Whoa, he cut his hair.
That's who you see right away, and like, he actually put out a letter saying that he knows people are excited about the movie and get ready to see more of him, which I like. That was a very classy way of saying like, get over yourself. A black guy is in a suit. Like, what does it matter?
There was a lot of hate about that, and I don't really see why.
I don't see why. Because I think the big confusion is that people don't know if the prequels still count, if the new movies aren't counting the prequels. So are they clones? Are they not clones? Clones only came into effect, I think, in the special editions when he reworked it the first time in the 90s, and then afterward. If Disney puts out the special edition Blu-rays with the original cuts of the movies,
then it could just be foot soldiers.
Then it could be foot soldiers. It could, conscription, whatever.
I thought under my understanding of how everything got played out and how Disney is trying to keep it as well is that 4, 5, 6, the stormtroopers are not clones.
Yeah.
Between 3 and 4, they've transitioned from the clones to regular soldiers
Just
and
people
enlisted.
that want a job.
I thought that was the whole point of the Clone Wars, was they wanted to stop cloning, but I could be wrong because I don't know anything about the Clone Wars.
Give us back our jobs.
The whole point of the Clone Wars was to just use the armies to kind of eradicate themselves. That's how he got into power. That's how Palpatine got to.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be noticed a bit more in the new installments that Disney's working on. And from what I've read up about is that Disney is keeping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies in tow with how the universe is. And I think they also hired people to try to keep everything else, like video games and other things
I heard they were
involved as well.
completely ignoring all the books that were in the future.
Anything in the future, they're ignoring. Anything in the past,
I
they're
think
trying
canon.
to keep it canon.
This is something that I feel they have to kind of let people know.
Well, we'll see when the movie comes out.
Yeah, I guess we could dig a bit
it's still
further.
a year away.
I think we could dig a bit further and find out, but I actually liked the trailer. I felt it had the same feel as the quote-unquote original trilogy, so like 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Everything looks a little bit dingy. It's not super sparkly, shiny special effects of the prequels, where it's like, look at this ship. It's a mirror. And it's like, that's kind of ridiculous. But like it felt like it had that grunginess to it that the original movies had. So I liked it a lot.
I would agree to that, except that scene of him making the stupid Claymore bastard sword is like, just reminds me of like, oh look, we're back to Darth Maul. Like, oh look at this cool lightsaber that the Sith get to use.
What was so confusing?
That was still cool.
The Darth Maul one was a great reveal.
No,
this
but-
one
no,
is
but-
like they're blowing their load in the teaser.
No, but
they have
because
nothing
the
better
thing
to
with
show.
the thing with the Darth Maul lightsaber, you see it and you're like, oh, that's a really long hilt, whatever. And then you get the first one, and then he does the second one, and your mind gets blown. What? There's two of them. You just stuck them together.
Who knows how that lightsaber might turn out, right?
How it work in the end?
I think if they can make it work, like in the fights, they can make the side things work with the style of the Sith that uses it. Then it's gonna be cool. If it's just there for show, it's completely useless.
And like I talked to a friend who loves sword fighting. He said, I never liked the lightsabers to begin with because every time I'm doing kendo, every time I'm doing any sword fighting, if someone makes me mad, the first thing I do is whack their fingers because there's no guard. And with a lightsaber, there's no guard, so you would just chop everyone's fingers off every single
Hands
time.
Luke,
and
hands
he's
Vader.
and so he's like, this will finally stop the cheat move where someone slashes his finger. And he's like, I hope in the
Slash your
movie,
hand off.
I hope in the movie someone does it to one of the good guys, where the bad guy's like, oops, you lost your hands.
Well, Luke lost his hand in the second.
Yeah.
And so did Vader. Vader lost his hand twice, technically.
But
He lost a lot, didn't he?
One thing I did like was like the new quote unquote R2D, the rolling ball thing.
I was just gonna say,
but
yeah.
what's really silly about that to me is like, that looks like Harrow from Gundam. It reminds me. It's very reminiscent to me.
But I agree. I did like how that was kind of playing. At first, I was like, huh? But then just watching it one more time, I was like, okay, it'd be interesting how this astrometric droid, how it navigates, how it plays around. Is it going to do a bit more fancier things like R2D2 did in 1, 2, 3?
I hope not. I hope it's just like that's all he can do, but at least he can move around anywhere and everywhere.
So it'll be. I'm interested in with that aspect how that's going to progress.
One thing I do love about this trailer is that immediately after it, when this trailer came out last week, what?
It came out on Thursday or Friday.
Thursday.
It's Friday. It came out last Friday.
Come Friday and the weekend, there was a million different spoofs and
Oh,
stuff. Someone made a keyblade with a heartless for the new lightsaber.
I like the Jesus sword.
Oh yeah, except he's walking through the forest. He finds Jesus. Jesus has a
Blue lightsaber
a
with
lightsaber with a
cross.
crucifix on it. Another good one. Someone made a claymore, but the whole thing went up as opposed to just a one line, so it looked like a giant like Bankai.
Or the Swiss Army knife one.
Swiss
Yeah.
Army knife one.
And so, oh man, so all those were quite hilarious. And then now recently someone made a recut, the George Lucas
That
edition.
was so good.
And so like when the Millennium Falcon's flying around, the TIE fighters, they just put a million TIE fighters on the screen. When the Sith Lord's walking through the forest, he finds Hayden Christensen in like his Jedi mode in front of him. Like they just go nuts. Everyone's excited, I think.
I enjoyed the trailer.
I'm a bit worried. Lens flares. That's it. That's all.
We don't know. I mean,
that's all I'm worried
The movie's
about.
still a year away. From the teaser alone, I think I was a bit underwhelmed, but I was excited in the sense that this feels like it's gonna be Star Wars that I remember from 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, from the
it gives me that feeling. It plays on all that classic stuff for it. So in that sense, I'm like, I have hope. A lot of that was practical. A lot of that was CG. So it seems like they actually have a good mix going on.
They're actually filming on sets as opposed to like a blue screen.
I'm gonna see the trailer when it comes out. Probably be way more exciting. For now, I'm like I'm optimistic about that movie coming out next year. But then again, it's still a year away.
Agreed.
I also agree, but you know what would make the movie just so much better?
Jar Jar Binks.
So join us in the next segment where we will be geeking around. And we're back. This is the Geeking Around segment where we will be talking about things geeky or otherwise happening in the geekosphere. So let's start with Kevin. What have you been geeking about?
I've recently caught up to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle animated series that's being done by Nickelodeon at the moment. I believe they're in the 3rd season right now.
Yep, third season.
Okay, and I'm not enjoying this season. It started strong because the turtles just kind of lost the foothold in the city. They went to April's old farmhouse, very reminiscent of the TMNT movie. Very similar, like one of the turtles needs to have time to heal and all that. But right now they're just kind of rinse and repeating them doing weird stuff around the farmhouse, and it's not really enjoyable. Mutants are coming out of nowhere, but they're not really advancing to like what they're going to do about finding Splinter, about dealing with the city and the problems that are happening with the Krang. So right now it just feels weird. On top of that, they have a new voice actor for Leo, and he sounds kind of like Seth Green.
Because he's voiced by Seth Green?
No, not at all. I checked it. It's not by Seth Green, but he sounds like him. I should double check the
Seth Green's brother.
Really? Because they made a
Tom
whole thing
Green?
about Seth Green being the new voice actor for Leonardo.
No, I looked it up. It was someone else. I'm unless they changed it again, but I checked the IMDb when I heard that and I was like, this sounds horrible. What happened? And then when I checked it out, and it was awful. So no, I do not like the new voice actor. It's really different from the Leo from before, so it's not working as well. Other than that, it's doing the whole Monster of the Week thing right now in the woods around April's Place. It's not as entertaining as it did the previous two.
Are you all caught up on the show? Okay, I feel Leo's voice actor, I think it's still played by Seth Green, but I think his voice actor has come into his own a bit.
It's him.
At first, it's very jarring because you're going from Jason Biggs to Seth Green, or Jason Biggs, the guy who they got to sound like Jason Biggs, then to Seth Green.
That's convoluted as fuck.
Yeah, no, because Jason Biggs just kind of left partway through the second season air.
Orange is the New Black?
Basically. Who knows? Maybe he was just tired of doing voice acting. I don't know.
It's actually very simple. But anywho, that's neither here nor there.
I think the new Leo, I think once he gets into it and he doesn't have too many speeches and a lot of his incidental voicing around actually does sound like it fits. It does fit in with the rest of the dynamic. So, I don't feel like there's a lot of that overlap. And it is a bit more raspy, so it's not the end of the world. I was a bit off-put first, like you, on the whole, isn't there an invasion going around? Why are they not doing anything about the invasion? But they're giving you new environments, they're doing interesting things with the characters, and they're still giving you all that TMNT love. They're still giving you all those old 80s, 90s movies, reference love. Like,
it's basically 25 years or 20 years about?
20 plus. I mean, like the...
I know it's not 30 yet.
No, it's close to... It should be about 25 because the first show was
from
like...
the cartoon.
The cartoon was like in
not the
late 80s.
From the cartoon, basically.
I think it was like 87, 88.
Yeah.
When the first cartoon came out, so...
So yeah, just to confirm, it is Seth Green. I looked it up before and it was someone else, but no.
That's because at the end of season 2, they were using a different voice actor to cover for Jason Biggs leaving.
Okay, then that's probably what I saw.
So I think that it still has that spirit, but I think it's the fact that there's technically a world-ending invasion supposedly going on.
And
that's kind of off-putting. Because if this was just his own season, like, they got their butts whooped by the Shredder or something, and they just ended up in the farm, and they're there for, like, a season while they're, like, they don't know what happened to Master Splinter or whatever. Maybe that wouldn't be as jarring, but for now, I think it's because of the world invasion. Any thoughts?
I really need to catch up with the whole show in its entirety. I only saw the first episode, but I really like what I've been seeing in people's reviews of the show and stuff, so I'm really hyped and interested, and I do like first one of the toys that they just came out.
They had a Napoleon Dynamite episode.
Oh, yeah,
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
What's his name? Napoleon Bonaparte or something?
No, it's like Napoleon Frog something.
It was like the frog
Totapart.
guys. Yeah, it was
like
the frog
Napoleon
guys.
Totapart. Something like that, yeah. Keith, what have you been up to?
So, really the only thing I've been doing that's geeky is I've been trying the new Dragon Age Inquisition. I have mixed reviews about it because it's a very vast world, but like coming from games like Diablo or WoW where leveling up sort of comes easy and fast, this game you do not level up fast. It's a very slow grind, and part of it is slow is because there's so much to read, so much to do, all your quests, you can find out a million different things.
So it's definitely a BioWare game.
Yeah, it's a BioWare game, and like if you're not ready for a BioWare game, it could drag on. There are a lot of glitches, and everyone's been complaining about like Ubisoft and their Assassin's poop. But BioWare, like this game, there's a lot of sound issues. There's cutting. Whenever I try to get on my horse, my guy sort of does the actions next to the horse, but nowhere near my horse, and then just pops onto the horse. And if like a ladder's highlighted to climb it, half the time you're climbing the wrong side of the ladder and then pop through it to get to the right side. So there's issues. On the other hand, it's really beautiful, like when it's actually working. And if you love games with lots of story, lots of background, every item has something to read. There's tons of codexes you could pick up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, despite like whatever qualms it might have, it's probably one of the better games
made
that came out in November, because a lot of stuff came out in November and everyone is complaining about everything.
Yeah.
And I think Dragon Age is probably at the top of the list of the games that have the least amount of complaints.
So I recommend for people who basically like the whole Mass Effect style, but in a fantasy setting.
I think the big problem was I chose a fire mage because I've never made a fire wizard in a game before, and it is not
a good choice.
It's not very cool. Like, I hate to say it. Like, the spells are kind of like, oh, it exploded and does nothing. Meanwhile, like, you see, like, if you choose a member of the other wizard, Solus, with his lightning or his frost, those spells look kind of super cool compared to, like, explode, and my explosions don't even kill things, so I'm just like, what is this?
So your wizard didn't go to the Michael Bay School of Explosion Techniques?
No. It went to, like, the Neville exploding techniques.
God.
That's not the right character from Harry Potter. You're thinking of Seamus.
Whatever. B-level characters is what my Stork is, or wizard, or whatever you want to call it.
Star for effort there.
Star forever. I really like Diablo, so I might go back to that. Reaper of Souls, I really enjoyed it. I leveled up some good characters, and I'll finish BioWare and probably go back there.
I'm late to the party on the Diablo 3 train. I played it on PC when it came out.
I did too. It wasn't very good then.
Yeah, it was not good.
They fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed it on PS4. It's great.
Yeah.
And PC.
So I bought Reaper of
Race.
Souls on PS4, which is the expansion plus the original game. So it's basically D3 the way it should have came out. Everything is fixed, and surprisingly it works very well on console. You would not think that a point-and-click hack-and-slash game would work well on console.
I like it so
But
much better on the console
It
than
controls
PC.
very well. You would think all the skill mapping would be a problem. No, like everything is very intuitive. It works very well.
What class you playing?
Demon Hunter. But the problem with the PS4 version was that you could hack in the PS3 version and everyone transferred characters over to the PS4 version. And since it's pretty much local saves, I believe, you're not playing on Battle.net, Blizzard just doesn't give a shit, basically. We only care about
Money.
PC, the
Your
PC
money
version.
in our pocket.
I thought you needed Battle.net to play against your friend.
No, you need to have PSN Plus. I think it's local hosts and stuff like that. But your game saves are not on Battle.net. So D3 on PS4, surprisingly very good. I'm very much enjoying it. Smash Brothers came out. Super Smash Brothers. Everyone who has a Wii U.
There we go. Never mind.
For what console? Yeah, so
What
the game that should have came out
Came out.
on release, on launch of the Wii U.
It wouldn't have looked as good.
It doesn't matter. I mean, like, everyone's like, oh, where's all the Wii U games? Well, what's Nintendo doing? It took so
Bayonetta
long.
2.
And this is probably
This year is the year of the Wii U.
Yeah.
Game of the Year across all... Forget just the Wii U. It's probably Game of the Year across all consoles. Smash Brothers. The hype was so high.
And it lived up to it.
And Nintendo delivered. The game looks beautiful. It plays beautifully. And everyone has been waiting for this. And they gave us what we wanted and more. Especially with 8-player Smash.
How is that? I've been meaning to try that, but I haven't actually had a chance to play the
Too
game
much
myself.
happening.
Played it a few times, 8-player matches, and oh boy, I can't see myself. You're limited to a set amount of maps that can handle that
8
amount of people
people,
at
yeah.
that amount of
Makes
time.
sense.
So no Final Destination on a tiny map with
Yeah.
8 people, because it makes no sense.
I thought they made a Final Destination version that you can play.
I don't.
Battlefield and Big Battlefield.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you go to a friend's place that has like a 60-inch screen and then maybe you'll see yourself
You
on it?
need a big screen.
Or
You
a projector.
And no
Yeah.
more
Or
playing on freaking CRTs.
So when I played at a friend's place, they gave me the Wii U controller pad, like the big
Yeah.
screen thing. And when we're playing 8 players, I just looked at my control pad because I really
Exactly.
I straight up lost myself, and I would look at my tinier screen to like really focus in on one spot that I knew where I was. Because sometimes I find when I play Smash with 4 players, I tend to lose myself when everyone's kind of close to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me not move. Okay, there I am. And then I was like, get reoriented.
Has anybody tried it with a 3DS connection, and how does that play? Does it play like you had the Wii
No.
U controller?
I have not had that
didn't.
chance.
I didn't.
I know there's a
but I like that the option is there.
Yes.
Because who's gonna have 8 compatible controllers? It's possible.
People have got it done. And so the first time I got to play was at work, and they were looking for an 8th player, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll join. And they were like, you can play on this, and they hand me the Wii remote without the nunchuck. So yeah, your mileage will vary with which controllers and which configuration of
obviously.
controllers.
But
you
that's it,
have.
because I mean, most people who had a Wii or Wii U, well, they have leftover Wiimotes,
Yeah.
Wiimotes, nunchucks. Everyone has close to 4 controllers. They made
The adapter.
GameCube controllers that could connect into Wiimotes, and then the adapter, the infamous GameCube adapter
Well,
that
they had-
everyone wanted.
Well, also they remade GameCube controllers that have longer cords now.
Yeah, the
That's
new
the thing
Smash
too.
ones.
Yeah, the new Smash ones
Yeah.
that don't connect. They
So-
connect into a GameCube.
So the infamous GameCube adapter that you could plug in GameCube controllers and the new Smash GameCube controllers that are sold out everywhere. impossible to find unless I guess you were in the States.
Just wait it out.
Or if
Apparently
you're
there's some at Target, according to my friend who works there, but
I would say wait
if you're
it
in
out.
Canada, I think the only place that had it day one was some places had it day one, but like very limited stock.
Yeah.
And EB had it if you pre-ordered the bundle, which was the best way to get it. And me being the idiot that I am, I don't need it. There's so many bundles there. There's adapters everywhere.
Nope.
apparently not.
I went to an EB Games and a Future Shop, and they're like, you have to pre-order that online or buy it. Not like they said, straight up buy it online. Why are you in the store right now asking
It
for
makes
that?
no sense.
It was very interesting.
There should be no reason an adapter should be out of stock.
Everyone bought it.
For the
Everyone
biggest, I'm
bought
just
it.
saying, for the biggest game,
Everyone bought
for the biggest game this year on your
You tell
on your
Smash
console.
Brothers fans you can play with your GameCube controller that you've owned, that you've held on to for this new game, and they just bought them all out.
Yeah, but I'm
Bought them all out like crazy.
The problem is that they didn't send out enough. You had stores that got
I don't
one or
think
two.
I don't even think they made enough.
Well,
It's just like when you-
Welcome to the school of Nintendo. They kind of do this a lot.
Yeah, like lowball
to,
everything.
welcome to the Wii. Welcome to the PS3. Welcome to the PS4 when they first came out. They were sold out everywhere.
Xbox One, 2, but not as much.
Yeah, but
the
not
thing
as
is,
much. But I'm just saying,
the game was not sold out. It was the adapter that they
the thing
just
that
did not
everyone
make
really
enough.
wanted, because you can buy the game, and I would want to buy an adapter, and I'll just come to your place with my adapter.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, that
because they
kind of
made
thing.
tons of controllers. There's games. There's just not enough adapters to go around.
And again, you don't have that kind of foresight. And if you're like Nintendo's not a small, tiny company relatively to Microsoft and Sony. Like their one thing is games, you know, and getting all that stuff out, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult. I wouldn't say it's easy.
Yeah, if I was in marketing though, and I was looking at this, I'd be like, not everyone's going to want the adapter. And you're going to say, what do you mean not everyone? And you'll be like, well, like, most people, not everyone, only has, like, they play by themselves. They occasionally go to a friend's house and play. You would think that if 8 people show up at someone's house, one person out of those 8 needs
might have the adapter.
might have the adapter.
The thing is that.
So then they just were like, okay, we'll make 8 remotes and 1 adapter. And, like...
But that's the thing. It's the stock of controllers, GameCube controllers,
it's overflowing.
so high.
Well, those are easier to produce, probably.
It's such an old mold. They know what they're doing,
Yeah.
and like I held one of the new ones in my hand, and I was like, wow, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't mad,
But
I was
that's
amazed.
what's good about it, because I played on the big Wii U screen and on Pro controller. It works fine, but it's not the same.
I think they thought that the 3DS would be something that people would use just as much because they played with the 3DS
Plus they already have
Smash.
But I think the problem with that was a good addition, but there wasn't enough time in between releases for people to be like really comfortable with the 3DS and not go to a controller.
Well, their idea is that, look, the Wii U didn't sell that much to begin with, right? People are like, the Wii U isn't selling very well, Nintendo, you've been messing up, yada, yada, yada. So they're under the assumption that, okay, so there aren't that many Wii U's compared to that many 3DS's, why would they need to produce any more adapters on the likelihood that not everyone who has a 3DS has a Wii U, and not everyone's going to buy a Wii U for this one game. They'll probably more than likely just take the 3DS and play.
It's a system seller. What I find bizarre is that there was no
It's a killer
Smash
app.
Brothers bundle.
Yeah,
in
actually,
Canada.
that
in
is
Canada
the,
at least.
That is the bigger crime.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
But I just think they were really trying to push it with the 3DS and the Wii U, and
I
that's
think-
why
I
they were
think
like,
that-
"Yep, this will be what
Yeah,
it's going to
I
push."
think the problem is, though, like you said, there was such a small window between the release of the 3DS versus the Wii U. But also, like, I don't think they took into the fact that when people were playing the 3DS, if you play Smash Brothers seriously on your 3DS, you feel like your 3DS is about to crack in two.
depends
You
on your
feel like your remote is going to, like, smack apart. And a lot of people had issues. We have a mutual friend that took theirs out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And so, like,
It's not a rage-friendly controller.
no, it's not a rage-friendly controller. It's not a controller where when you're playing games, you grip and you're like, and trying really hard. So there wasn't time for, like, once people saw that the 3DS might not be the best platform to play Smash,
Might not survive.
might not survive, you're not going to use it to play on the Wii U. Because that's even more serious and more button mashing.
But aside from that, Amiibos, none of us picked anyone. I picked up Villager actually just
Today?
Yeah, just
So you haven't
today.
tried it out yet?
No, but apparently it works really well.
And you're beating... fools.
Martha's sold out everywhere. I
Yeah.
saw him on day one, and I was like, I'm not gonna pick up Marth.
Nah,
These
that
are
was
never
your
gonna.
fault.
These are never gonna sell out.
No, people want little figurines of their thing.
Yeah, but they don't look that good.
so, Ali, 0 for 2 on things you should have gotten.
0 for 2 on things I should should have gotten.
Smash
And-
Brothers related.
Yeah, Smash Brothers. And I don't understand. They don't look that good.
I asked Toys R Us, like, how come you don't have any? And they said, we got 2 boxes of Marth and 12 boxes of every other character.
Very possible.
And they're like, some Toys R Us stores didn't get any Marths. Like, they were just super short on the shipment of Marth. And I was like, well, when are you going to get them back? And they're like, after Christmas.
Yeah.
They are not
what
expecting a
usually
single
happens.
shipment of Marth before Christmas.
Well, he was supposed to be released limitedly.
Apparently, it was a limited release. People went nuts. They're on like Kijiji everywhere. Everyone's trying to resell Marth.
The only thing I'm very worried about with Amiibos is like it's a very cool idea, very novel idea. They work very well for this game, but are they going to still be supported greatly past this point?
There's
Mario,
plans.
Mario Party.
They have plans.
With Amiibos.
Yeah.
They have plans, but you know, it's like okay, so Wii Yoga instructor is going to be in Mario Party. You know, like,
Nintendo's not very good at
you know what but you know what I mean,
implementing.
right?
Like I would not be surprised if Amiibos were used only for Smash Brothers and nothing ever again.
Smash Brothers and Mario Kart for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Mario Party, they'll
They
probably
already
do
have
costumes.
a Mario Kart MK8.
But there's going to be probably a Mario Party release. Costumes for that.
Because-
Other than that, I don't think so.
Because I know from what people have said for Hyrule Warriors, with Link you get an item, and then everybody else you just get like money and stuff like that. Like just very minor, like not
I think
game changing things.
People wanted Nintendo figurines,
Yeah.
and they got them.
Yeah,
basically.
that's it.
which is super smart.
I think
Yeah.
people are looking at it more than like, you know what, Nintendo doesn't have to put that much functionality in it. It's supposed to be fun.
The Smash functionality was a bonus.
But yeah.
But it's just the fact that we already have the Spyro stuff, the Skylanders,
And Infinity.
and Infinity, and you could take that across any generation technically, and you'll still have your saves on that and blah blah blah, and you'll carry on. But this is just like
They're extras. It's like
a very small.
But you got to remember, it's a Japanese company, and the whole point is that
no one thing.
It's an extra kind of thing. So you're buying these as an extra for other games, and it's not really meant for more than to be extra bonuses because you bought something extra. And you know what? It's a figure with extra functionality. So hey, that's not the end of the world.
All right.
I haven't been doing much, to be honest. I've been playing Pokemon, but while I've been playing Pokemon and grinding and whatnot, I've been watching Hawaii 5-0 Season 1. So,
New one or old one?
new one.
I don't know, man.
The
I
old
don't
one
know.
was made in the late 60s.
That doesn't-
and it ran for 12 years.
That doesn't sound like I would stop you, to be very honest.
Not for that.
Okay.
Well, the new one's only in its 5th season. I
Okay.
decided to start season 1, so that one's been fun. Basically, a lieutenant commander comes over after a mission overseas, and he gets a task force called the 5-0s. Full immunity, full means. They can do basically almost whatever they want within reason, and even then, they do some crazy things. This one is brought to us by our good old pals Orsi and Kurtzman. So
They're no longer together, mind you, but this is after the fact. Yeah.
This is season 1.
They've separated.
They separated, okay. So a bunch of season 1 episodes are written by them as well, at least the main story ones. It's fun, so it's very much like your procedural show where they have to solve a case for the week, and it's nice that there is an overarching story and like why his father was killed, the investigation of his mother's death, things like that. You meet a few new characters. Overall, it's a fun little show. I mean, I'm just watching it because it's something to do while I watch Pokemon, and it doesn't require too much more attention than what it is.
It is on CBS.
So because you're watching Hawaii 5-0, what else are you watching? I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie.
Have they remade those? When they remake those, maybe I will watch them.
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls was awesome.
They remake Bewitched? Or
That was the movie.
That was
That was just a movie.
movie.
No,
Don't worry, Magnum PI is going to come
you
along
could
the way.
watch the Night Show.
Look, I should just watch
Knight
Chips.
Rider. They
Just
did
say when
remake
they
Knight Rider,
remake
Miami
Chips.
Vice?
Miami Vice was a movie. I don't think
That was
that's
not a
happening.
movie, yeah.
They'll probably remake Chips without Eric Estrada, and you know what? I'll watch that. Okay.
And they already remade Miami Vice. It was called, what was that?
CSI.
The McG show. The McG show he had on Fox with Bill Bellamy.
No clue.
Wendell
I'm
dropping
sorry.
names, no one knows who he's talking about.
I'm sorry, guys.
Remember that one dude from that show on Fox?
That guy.
So maybe I missed it, but are you playing Ruby or Sapphire?
I'm playing. I never said. I said it last episode. Like I said last episode, I'm playing Alpha Sapphire.
I've got Ruby.
I just got Kyogre. I got that one, and I just beat the 8th gym, so I technically have to go to the Elite 4, but I'm doing the Victory Road. But Victory Road is so annoying. It's like the most annoying dungeon in every game consistently. The new soaring feature, I've been testing that out a bit. It's kind of fun.
What is that?
You get a free flyer, and you get to soar around the world. So it's not like insta fly, but you can soar around. There are like Mirage Islands where you can find different like legendaries.
So it's like the bike, but you're in the air.
It's sort of, but yeah. So it's like a way to fly to different routes, a way to fly to different towns, and you can get to only access some of these Mirage Islands where you can get legendaries or Pokemon that aren't on the mainland. Or
But you move in the same way you move with the bike. I mean, like, it's...
No, it's freeform.
So it's
so
like
basically,
3D.
Imagine a map.
Oh, that's cool.
so
Well, it's not really 3D.
So
it's
like
still a 2D plane. It's just that you can move around.
But
So
you
it's
see
like
the
the-
map like normal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like the planes in Final Fantasy, the blimp. Or...
Yeah, it's essentially.
Yeah.
So you get a 3D topography of the area, and you can just fly around it. It's essentially a 2D plane. So yeah, it's like a bike, but without any borders.
That's
to
cool,
block
actually.
Get your
it.
mode 7 out.
And you don't need a flyer. You don't need a flyer. It's just an item you get from one of
That always irked me, that you had to have someone with HM fly on your team, or else...
That's only if you're doing say if I went and I didn't want to use say my fly surfer is Pelipper. Say I didn't want to use that anymore. Once I got to Victory Road, I would just put it in a box because you're not going to really need it. Then again, I don't know. I haven't been in Victory Road in Gen 3 in a while.
Poor HM slave. You've
Anyway.
done your job, box.
I never liked that about the games, that you needed one.
That's pretty much what I've been doing. Wendell.
I've been trying to catch up on 2 shows. One of them is Black Dynamite Season 2 on Adult Swim, and the other one is The Real Husbands of Hollywood Season 3. So Black Dynamite is based on a blaxploitation spoof movie made by Michael Jai White and a few other people. So it was a live action movie, and then they made it into a animated series. And a good chunk of the people that make the animated series work on Boondocks. So for season 2, they did a new intro, and it's done by the director of Kill la Kill.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, so it's directed by Hiroyuki
Imanishi.
Thank you.
Imaishi or something like that.
Imaishi. And it's really good, and it pops really well, so hopefully they get to use it for season 3 and onward. I caught up to date. The last episode was basically American Bandstand versus Soul Train. Now, the thing is, like what Ali said before, it's like, wow, Wendell's dropping names of stuff that no one knows. It's a spoof of stuff that took place in the 70s, so if you're not up on your 70s pop culture references, it's kind of gonna fly over your head, but it's still very fun to see, very hilarious. A lot of silly things happen in the show.
So are you saying it's not funny if you don't know about these, or it's still got the...
You get a lot more out of it if
Okay.
you understand the context that they're saying stuff. So one of the episodes, somebody is making like this like big blaxploitation movie in the same vein as Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, basically. The people in the movie are like all blaxploitation actors. So like you have Pam Grier, you have Fred the Hammer Williamson, Jim Kelly, Dolomite. And so... But all those people are basically what a lot of the Black Dynamite cast is based off of. So when they meet each other in this universe, all of them are hating each other because they're basically the same. They're like, yo, you guys are ripping us off, when in turn they're like spoofing the actual people. So I thought it was really funny and meta. There's an episode about Bill Cosby. That same episode, Bill Cosby kidnaps them in order to make sure this big movie doesn't come out. And it's like, oh boy. Like they do...
Bill Cosby pre-scandal or post-scandal?
Okay, now the thing about this is I don't know if they rewrote the script a little bit to put in a few jabs at that or not. The jabs are in there.
Would you say it was too soon?
Nope, not at all. It's been a long time coming, to be very honest. It's been a long time coming. If everyone knows and seen him do his thing and all that stuff, it's been a very long time coming. But I enjoy the show so much. It's always fun to watch. And there was another episode that was a spoof of the Warriors, but instead of like a big gang meeting they go to, it's like a big gay party, and it's all the gays from Hollywood they want to take over the rest of Hollywood and not just West Hollywood. And Rip Taylor plays is basically Cyrus, and he gets shot, and they think that Black Dynamite and his crew did it, and they have to run all the way to the beach to get away from everybody. Just a lot of crazy stuff going on in that show. So if you like Boondocks and you want to see more crazy funny stuff and a little more a 70s vibe to it, then Black Dynamite is a really, really, really good show to watch. And so the other show I'm watching right now is Real Husbands of Hollywood. And
You made me watch that, and I watched season 1 and 2, and it's good.
Yes, converted somebody. The tagline for this show is the fakest reality show ever, and it's a giant spoof and satire of every single reality show, Wives of This and I Love New York That. They just spoof the
Who are the husbands?
The husbands, it's Kevin Hart is.
I like it already.
Is the
No,
main-
it's amazing who they got on this show.
So, and Nick Cannon's in it, and they always like rag on him for Mariah Carey. In this newest season, they actually get Mariah as a guest star, but it's very spare, it's very limited. This has clearly been taped prior to their divorce.
Oh, yeah, that did happen. I forgot about
That was like very like everyone's like, oh, how are you gonna work this in? And they just kind of left it. BJ Smoove was in is season 2, but since now he's on the Will Arnett show, he's not in anymore. And so what they did was they did a reunion episode for to recap season 2 and to have a reunion thing, and he did like a video saying, oh, I'm not gonna be on your low budget black show anymore. I'm doing a white person show now. Bye. And like just how he gets
So
out of it.
is this just guys hanging out, kind of?
It's clearly scripted. It's super scripted. Yeah. Like, but it's a bunch of different celebrities come by. Like Chris Rock was in last season, and
Robin Thicke
was in season
Thicke.
1 Season 1. He was mostly in season 1. This was before his divorce. So, like, stuff gets real and kind of certain cast members leave and come back. Nelly's in it, and they always crack on Nelly. It's like, oh, your career hasn't been hot in here since so-and-so time. So everyone's willing to take blows and, like, you know, joke about themselves and not take it too personally.
It's all about the lols.
Yeah, exactly. And then one of the big jokes is that the husbands' wives are doing way better than them. There's an episode where they switch to the women of the show, and something happens and they all go to jail, and then they spoof Orange is the New Black. That was like the mid-season finale.
of season 3.
Of season 3 specifically. It's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. One of the 2 surprise guests were George Takei was in it, and Lance Bass was in it.
2 gay dudes.
Yeah.
Wasn't Terry Crews?
Terry Crews appears in the first season and he appears in the second season, but not as the same Terry Crews. I don't want to spoil what happens in season 1. You have to watch it. I think it's like up to episode 5, something big happens and it goes nuts. Sometimes like stuff is really real, but sometimes it goes surreal, and it's just hilarious to watch. So that's it. That's what
I just have a question.
Yes.
You named 3 shows.
I named 2
You said
shows.
2.
He also said Boondocks. He just
Oh, yeah.
threw that in. They're all black shows. What's up with that?
I'm black.
Quick question about Boondocks. Have they stopped? They're done with that? Or?
I don't know. I know
knows?
season 4 is done in the bag, and I know the first episode of 4th season did very well in the ratings. I don't know how it maintained its ratings and if it's going to come back.
Okay.
I think it might come back.
I was curious because I really like Boondocks.
Yeah, I like the fourth
Uncle
season.
Ruckus.
The 4th season, the first half, I don't think it was perfect. It was funny, but not great. And then I think after that, it got a lot better.
All right, so that's just a few of the things we've been geeking on this past week. Join us in the next segment where we'll be having a short board game review.
This is Austin St. John. I played Jason, the original Red Ranger from television's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Right now, I am geeking out at the Tower Podcast. Check it out, man. It's Morphin time.
Welcome back. This is a new infrequent segment that we will have every now and then. It's board game reviews, where we'll be discussing a board game that came out probably within the last month or 2. We will play it, we will discuss how we feel about it, and for our inaugural episode for this, we will be talking about the game made by Richard Garfield called King of New York, based essentially on the old version of King of Tokyo. It's a game for 2 to 6 players in the age range of 10 plus. The average game should take you about 40 minutes to an hour, depending on speed of players. It's also produced by Yellow Games. I guess my thoughts on the game were it's a nice upgrade of the King of Tokyo system without all the heaviness or required parts of the expansions. But if you own all the expansions, you can still utilize the characters in the current gameplay because most of it is tied to the board and the pieces given to you in King of New York. Overall, fun game. We played it a few times. The games were really lasted about half hour to an hour.
The second one was an hour
The second
plus.
one, the second one was about an hour. The first
It wasn't that long, but it was it was longer than the first.
It was about an
It
hour.
was.
It was about 55 minutes.
We started at 7 and we ended it after 8.
Ooh, good.
No, we started at
Like
8
the chocolate
and ended at
bar.
9. So it's a very colorful game. The monsters are cool. The references to the sci-fi fun and whatnot. And the characters, which we will probably get into as we continue our discussion, are well conceived. Thoughts?
I liked it a lot more than King of Tokyo, just because there was a lot more to do on the board. There's more ways to get points. It's not just attack the middle, go to the middle, get out of the middle. There's a lot more kind of board gameplay. I definitely like this more than King of Tokyo. I'm glad, at least currently, there isn't any of the extra abilities like there are for King of Tokyo, because I personally did not enjoy that for King of Tokyo.
I mean, from Power Up.
Yeah, the power-up stuff. I like the character designs for this, which you can easily incorporate the monsters that you have from King of Tokyo into this as well. But I like the Draconis design, just because dragons, very mecha dragon thing. It was really good. It plays a lot faster, at least a lot faster than King of Tokyo, and especially faster if you don't use the abilities from King of Tokyo. So definitely an improvement from the base game. There's more ways to try to win, more strategies to play on, and I think that's what makes this a lot better than King of Tokyo.
Here's the thing. If you need a game to introduce to your family for 2 to 6, but I think the original King of Tokyo goes up to 6.
It's the same thing. It's the same amount of players, 2 to 6.
Play King of Tokyo. It's very easy to get into. You have light card drafting. You have dice rolling. The board is very small. There's not many rules. It's really easy to get into. People will get the rules very easily, and I think people will get hooked. So it's a very simple game, but deep enough that, you won't get bored of it right away. Kind of like, I think people are used to playing Monopoly and stuff like it, and this is a good change. I think it's, no matter your age range, everyone will get into it. And King of New York, once you've played King of Tokyo, which is a good way to introduce the game, I think King of New York is a very good upgrade to it. Like, I didn't enjoy Power Up or Halloween either. I felt like the power-ups didn't add enough into the game. It just made it a bit more convoluted. But
Agreed.
King of New York takes King of Tokyo, adds elements that make the game more interesting, and the fact that we don't have the 1 to 3 point dice anymore, and replace it with interesting mechanics, the destruction mechanic, the wounded
The
one,
superstar.
and the superstar mechanic. It adds more to the game and doesn't make it draw out longer, kind of like the power up.
I like this game, but I don't think I like it any more than I like Kings of Tokyo. And I guess it's because I have a different group of friends that I play with. So, like, when I play King of Tokyo, all my friends are super aggro. No one tries to get points. Everyone just claws, and our games go really fast. Well, when I just played with you guys, we had Kevin, who didn't attack anyone because he's like, I'm going to get points. I'm going to be the superstar. I'm going to try this way. You had Andrew that sort of did a hybrid, and I was the only one swinging for the fences, which does not work.
But you know what? That's what's cool
So I
about
think
the game.
it gives you different options for this one.
Yeah.
But for me, because the different play groups had different faces, I found this one just the same as King of Tokyo, except the power-ups. I like the cards in this one better.
So you're saying that if you played this with your other group of friends, it'll probably play out like you did King of Tokyo, like just aggro? Or you think they'll play around with the new mechanics?
I think there's going to be 2 or 3 of us that are still going to go aggro, because that's who we are. That's what we do. And I think there'll be like 1 or 2 that might try the other mechanics, but if 3 people are going aggro, those 2 people won't have the time to...
But that's the thing. See, you have player elimination. You could win via victory points. There's different ways to win, which is good about
Which was
this
surprising,
game.
because when we played together the second game, Andrew did win by victory points, and I don't think I've seen that
Which does not happen
in King of Tokyo. No, usually it's like swing, someone killed everybody.
And it's especially in this one, where there's so much more things that do damage to you.
Yes.
Where you could get damage from
Tanks.
you could get damage. There was a lot of drafting cards that did damage to you as well.
Yeah.
So you would think it would go faster.
But I liked actually how it did the opposite as well. You could grab victory points from the cards
There's
as well.
a lot more healing. Like
There's a lot more healing.
There's-
You can actually, there's more healing in this version's Tokyo is Manhattan. So like you have different like level sections that the ground units can get you healed when you're not supposed to be in an area to heal. So I found there was a lot more elements to get victory points off, to get energy points off, to get... So they really balanced it, and I do agree with the 6-sided die thing. It's equal. It's 1 to 6 on all the things, where in King of Tokyo it's not.
It was just that the amount of points you got was different.
It was different.
Yeah.
I think it makes it more interesting.
Well, it adds a lot more options.
I think the most interesting thing is sometimes the cards have negative effects now, where like, yeah, you'll get these bonuses, but there's also...
There's another side to it.
There's another side to it. Like in King of Tokyo, all the cards are like pretty much beneficial.
Most are. There are some that
And
are
this
evil.
one, there was a lot where it was like, you could get a whole lot of victory points, but there's a negative.
Yes.
You could have this extra die, but you could kill yourself.
Yeah. With one die.
You could spend 2 energy to get 8 energy, and you're like, woohoo! and then you're like, oh, but
Everyone else gets
It's good. So it expands on the base game, which was I think really strong already, and it makes it adds more advanced elements so that people who are used to the game are going to enjoy it a lot more. But it's still easy to get into.
I really enjoyed this game comparatively to King of Tokyo. I felt more involved in it, more like, hey, I could do this, I could do that. Like I felt King of Tokyo, I just had to attack. I enjoyed the other mechanics you get to play around, so I did like that about this game. King of Tokyo was fun, but I felt King of New York held my attention to do some other things and play around a little bit.
So I think we mentioned before there is this unit mechanic where basically there are buildings, you can destroy buildings for victory points or healing or energy, but when you destroy a building it means an army unit will come out. Some dice rolls will allow the armies to attack you, so it could happen that even though you may have taken out a bunch of buildings, you can still lose on a completely unrelated dice roll to you. So another player might not attack you directly but might roll a certain combination that'll basically make all units attack everybody, and in one of the games that knocked out about 2 or 3 players in one shot. There are ways for the games to go quicker depending, it is a dice game, so there is a whole luck based element to it. In a way, they may have increased the amount of points you can get, but like we've mentioned, you can increase the amount of healing, so everything increased, but in a way that made the games more diverse, which I find makes it very interesting. It works pretty much like King of Tokyo, so if you've played a bunch of King of Tokyo, the step up to King of New York is very minimal. A lot of the rules are similar and are just slight modifications of previous rules.
Yeah, it's the same game but better.
Yes.
Yep, I agree. If you like King of Tokyo, you'll definitely like King of New York.
But I would not recommend, like you said, jumping straight maybe into it right away. Especially if you're with a younger group. Maybe if with a more experienced gaming group, you probably would.
I think I'd like to also add that they do have boroughs, which we didn't really discuss.
Yes.
Because in King of Tokyo,
What was
there
it in
wasn't.
Tokyo?
Tokyo,
It
there
was not. It was not. It was in or out.
You're either in Tokyo or you're not in Tokyo. Yeah. But they added a whole move mechanic where you can switch boroughs, you can destroy buildings, leave.
Well, I think it's a lot more interesting because we were 5. If this played with 2 or 3 people, I don't think it's not as interesting.
Well, this game doesn't play great with 2 off the bat. 3, probably 3 as well.
I think recommended was 4 usually.
But this game works at its best with 4. I think that makes it slightly more interesting. And it kind of does really work with 5. I think at 6 it becomes a bit... Maybe the games would
too much damage going out.
A lot of that. I think the games would go a lot quicker at 6.
Just way too much damage going out with 6 people.
Yeah, I think that the game just would go quicker with the...
Yeah.
It's weird, like, the game will be faster with the more people because a lot more people are more likely to throw out damage. There'll be a lot more movement around. Any other thoughts on the game?
If there's something you should pick up this year, it's King of New York.
Yeah, if you could only buy one board game this year that came out this year.
I mean, I don't know if I would exactly say that. I mean, it's simple enough.
It's a good...
If you want to try a
there.
new game this year,
It's up there.
Yes. And if you go to the right places, you can get it for a decent price. It costs about the same as King of Tokyo. If you had to choose between this or King of Tokyo, I would say more than likely buy this. You get a lot more to do. It has a much longer...
I think if you're an experienced gamer, this is probably the better game to pick. But if you're just trying to wet your toes into board games, I would go Tokyo.
yeah, Tokyo does a good job.
So if you have already a bunch of games, this is a great addition to it. If you're starting something out, I agree with Ali. King of Tokyo is a good starter.
Even then, I personally think that it may be a harder grind at first, but this game, as it is, has a longer shelf life than King of Tokyo. It's like the updated version. The updates, the patches are all good. It fixes it.
It's like how Monopoly was the game everyone had in their house.
Yeah.
I think this would do just as well.
Yes.
With less of the angst.
And surprisingly less
anger.
aggressive.
Yeah, less
the anger.
It's because there's no money and no banker.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Energon is sort of like money.
The little Jolly Rancher energies.
You don't go around the board and then land on somebody's house and hotel and then you're bankrupt.
You know what?
In
like,
one movement.
In this, you die. I think the 2 games we played, you die and you're like, all right, I died. I didn't get cheesed. Whereas Monopoly, it's like,
I have to give everything to
yeah,
you.
you're just
and
rolling and you're not
helping.
getting any properties.
How do I keep running into doubles and going to jail?
Exactly.
So, 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So join us in our next segment where we'll be giving you holiday board game suggestions.
Get that King of New York.
Hey, this is Anthony Bowling, voices of such characters as Yuka in Fairy Tail, Ukyo in Samurai 7, and Alciel in The Devil is a Part-Timer, along with many, many more. And right now you are listening to Geeking Out at the Tower podcast.
With the holidays upon us, dinner with family, parties with friends, even the odd work office party happening, I guess it'd be time to offer a few board game suggestions that you might already own to play with the group, or if not, go out and probably pick up because it'll mean a good old time. So I guess we'll start with Kevin. What is your suggestion for board games?
For those that do enjoy board games and want to play with a few others, one game I would highly suggest is Shadowhunter. It plays with a lot of the vampire, werewolves, few like positive characters, so hunters against shadow. There's also neutral characters, and it's complicated enough that it keeps things interesting, as in it's not always the same match all the time, but not too complicated that like after one round you've pretty much figured everything out, and it plays very well with others. I like the dynamic of it. I like the board's simple, but it's still a bit customizable. There's a lot to do with not too many complicated elements in it. I suggest this is a good board game to introduce people who might be wanting to go more into board games. It plays around 3 to 6 players, so it's a good range for that type of group, I find.
It's not 8 people?
I can't remember if it's 8. No, yes, if you right now when it's bundled with the expansion, I believe it does go to 8. You're right.
Okay. Agree or disagree?
It's alright. It's a fun game, but neutral characters make it blarg.
Yes, that's the only thing with the game is that neutral characters have like their specific objectives, while hunters want to go against shadows and shadows want to go against hunters. It's a mystery game, so you don't know who's who, so that does play around with that.
I'll give it a pass.
I've played this game a lot, and I mean a lot. People keep asking to play it because for a large group like 7 or 8 people, this game still plays fast. When you're eliminated, you're not waiting forever. And I would disagree with the neutros. I like the neutros. I mean, there are some that are like really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
But we just take like Bob out because no one wants to play as Bob.
I like Bob.
But there are characters where like you just want to die first. And I'm like, that's a great character for an asshole. Because then you could just be yourself. And then everyone just wants to kill you anyways. And then you're like, I won!
There are good mechanics, but there are some characters that make it impossible to win.
Yeah.
Which I do agree. Some of the characters are a little
And
bad.
like some of the win conditions for neutrals, just so people who don't know, there's ones you die first. There's ones you want to kill a guy who has a lot of health. There's a guy that just wants to live to the end. And then there's one guy who I really like who you want the person on your left to win, and if you reveal yourself, you want the person on the right to win. So you just hope that you're not sitting next to other neutrals, because then you're sort of screwed. But I like it.
I agree. Shadowhunters is fun. I've seen it played at Thanksgivings and other events. I've played it a few times myself. It works better the closer you are to the maximum amount of people. It doesn't work so great at, say, the lower end of the spectrum. So if you're going to play this, definitely look at playing with towards the maximum number, because that makes it more fun, more interesting for everybody. Whereas when it's just like 4 players, I've seen it happen where people just figure out who's on whose team like in 30 seconds, and that can make the game kind of annoying. I agree.
I have not played this game to my knowledge with you guys, so I don't have anything to add or take away from this. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. A game I would like to bring up is more for, I guess 9 players minimum. Actually, even then, 2 groups of 3. It's reverse charades, and you can play this X amount more people, obviously. It's essentially charades, but there's one guesser, and everyone is acting out all the actions, and you get points by the guesser guessing what the people are acting out. Obviously, like charades, you can't say what it is, you can't mime sounds to that effect. It makes for very fun, frenetic. Sometimes people will get hurt, sometimes some very crazy actions will be done, but if you enjoy charades, this is a nice little spin on it to make even people who don't fully like charades enjoy charades, in my opinion.
I agree. If you like charades, this is a fun game. It's a bit quirky onto the basic design of it. I personally don't like it. Just maybe it's with the group that we've played with, and it just ends up being kind of wacky to the point where it's just like, everybody gives up and just stops. But no, if you do like charades, this is a good dynamic for it. So that's the only people that I would suggest this to. Otherwise, nah.
I think every time we've tried to play it
Once.
it's been shut down.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
every time we tried to play it, yes.
Yeah, it's been shut down, so I don't think I've played it yet.
You played it at the Christmas party last year. But then again, we don't have the space for
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing. You need the space, because charades you could do in a restrained area, but reverse charades you need that much more space.
Not even that much. We played it in a friend's living room once, and we were like 3 groups of 3, and there's like, or 3 groups of 4. and it worked great.
Maybe your other friends are less fat than us. I don't know.
That is also the case. That is also the case.
But yeah, I mean, I'm curious.
It's honestly, it's like charades, but you get a but more fun actions to do. It's just don't play with the Canadian expansion because some of those words I don't even know how you would mime out to other people.
I've never played reverse charades. The closest I might have played is me and my friends like to play take Cards Against Humanity and try to act out the card as best as we can.
You guys are so weird.
But I think this is also one of the few games that has, other than like Werewolves, has, you know, the most players you can play. You can start off with like maybe 6 people and go to like 30 if you have the space for it in teams. So that's my suggestions.
I have not played reverse charades, so I am in the same boat as Keith, but I have not acted out Cards Against Humanity, so I have nothing to say.
But you like charades.
Yeah, charades is fun.
Then you'll enjoy this game. Trust
I like
me.
charades.
I'm more of a card and deck builder, so if I had a choice, I would say Magic, but that's too expensive for people to get into. So I'm going to suggest Race for the Galaxy, which can be a party game and cannot. The original is 2 to 4 players. You sort of have to build your deck and conquer the universe, and it's against other players. However, there's 4 expansions, and 2 of them allow you to add an additional player each turn, so it goes up to 6 players. And you create planets, you get resources, you create an army, and the first one to get the most points after playing 12 cards, so it doesn't go on forever, wins.
How many rounds?
You could put down each turn, you choose 2 phases, and there's 5 phases. One of the phases lets you build planets, one of the phases lets you build items. And if you have 12 cards, if it's the first person to put 12 cards down in front of them, the game goes into end phase. So technically you could end it on turn 12.
What is this, Mahjong?
It's
a
a
deck
lot.
builder.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think if you like deck builders, I would say that might be a good game. I'm 50-50 on deck builders. It really depends on the game, but I've never played
if
this
you
one.
like deck builders, that's a good game. If you prefer co-op, you can play Sentinels of the Multiverse, but I know lots of people don't like it.
Okay. So my game, I think I picked a party game as well, just like Andrew's. I'm picking Wits and Wagers, and there's also Wits and Wagers Family Edition. So basically, the game is played in 7 rounds. You have a trivia question asked in each round. Everyone gives a numerical answer because all the questions have a numerical answer, and then people bet chips on what they think is the closest to the right answer.
Without going over,
A la The Price is Right. So you have trivia, you have questions that are not specific, like Trivial Pursuit answers, numerical, so it's vague, and you have gambling that everyone loves.
I think for the family edition, it's just like it's gambling, but it's using a big meeple and a small meeple as opposed to chips. But the original
it's
one
points.
was
So you have a little bit for everyone. You have trivia, vague trivia, gambling, and you could play in teams of 2, teams of 3, whatever. And I think it's fun because even if you don't know the answer to the questions, you can still have fun and you could still win because you don't have to wage on your own answers. So you could answer everything wrong in the 7 rounds and still end up the winner because your guesses were the most accurate. And I think it plays even better. It plays very well with max number of people, and even better if you're in teams of 2. So it's 14 people.
Okay.
I agree. I think we played both versions, the family one and the original one. And I think at least I enjoyed both of them. It worked really well. No, I'm definitely thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a fun game.
I think if you like trivia games and gambling, it's fun. But I wouldn't say it's any more fun than Smarty Pants or any of the others, even though this one's more easy to get into because you can not know the answer and play.
Yeah, because I think the qualm people have with trivia is that if you don't know the topic, it's very hard to get into. Yeah, and it's just not fun for people that don't know pop culture, movies, it's very specific topics. And this makes it, the family edition is, you can play with kids.
Yeah.
So
It's a sign that if you really don't know the answer, you just put whatever and you're like, yep, got
At least you have a feeling that you know someone who knows the answer, you can bet on them.
exactly.
And the questions are in the range of like how tall
Is so-and-so
building, or how many flights of stairs are in so-and-so building, that maybe, someone who is super crazy about things will know. Most people will just give a random guess based on, some will try to estimate it, some will just put a random number.
I have a question. Let's say we're playing this game, and I just don't know any answers because I'm not a trivia guy. If I know that Kevin knows everything about architecture, and Andrew knows everything about numbers, and Seb knows everything about history, could I just bet on the person that I know knows the answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then would I have the same amount of points as them? Like, would I win if I just happen to know
If they
who
don't bet
knows
on their
the-
own answer, then you could even have more points than them.
So this is a very Wendell type game.
This is a game I really do like, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Minimal effort, maximum gain.
I'm the big pop culture guy, and I love this game. It's very fun. Sometimes I do goof on purpose purpose to screw over other people.
Because you can't do
Because
that.
you can't do that. You could play the other side. Like, you could play you could play it up like poker in a sense. Where you pretend to say, like, oh, this is my tell. No, it's not. It's this other thing.
I answered it wrong.
Give me all the money. I bet against myself.
Any other games people would like to bring up?
A deck of cards. Crazy 8 countdown.
I would like to give a shout out to Smash Up. I think that's a fun game, and when we've played it, you never have the same deck, so it's always changing up, and there's so many expansions that you can just play it over and over.
Yeah,
Which
definitely.
one's Smash Up again?
You have two factions of like Ghost and Ninjas, or Robots and Bear Cavalry, or Cthulhu worshippers and
So you take two faction
spies.
decks. All the decks have 20 cards in them, so you don't have to make a deck or anything. So you'll choose two. Sometimes you can choose them at random. You can choose two you think will work together. You put them together, you shuffle them together, and then you play points on bases. When your bases score, first person to 15 points wins. And bases have effect, cards also do things.
Okay.
I feel like it was a game where it took very little explanation the first time we played it. It was fast to explain, and you got the hang of it after round 1 or 2. And all the races have hilarious characters.
It can be time consuming depending on who
yeah.
you play with.
I think it's easy to understand how the mechanics work, but then you're still trying to discover, what's a good combination? And a lot of us, we like playing random to make sure like we always have a different type of group together. And I think you learn to try to master different groups, and some aren't working as well as others. So there is a lot of learning curves on what you want to do. But if you pick exactly the ones you want and you learn from them, you can work out a really good combination.
That's why I'm saying it's a shout out and not my original.
Yeah, I would say a shout out myself to Suro. That goes up to 8 players. You can play with as little as 2 and as much as 8. It's super easy to get into. It's super quick, and even if you play with the variant
With the dragons.
Well, even if you play with the variant dragons, the game that actually makes the game longer. But even then, you can finish a game within the half hour. Most games will last 5 to 15 minutes anywhere on average for a regular Suro game, and it's super easy to get into.
And just don't expect to win, because that doesn't happen in Suro usually.
Everyone loses.
The easiest way to explain this game is it's snakes and ladders without the ladders, and you're just like snaking along to like hopefully not get pushed off the board.
Yeah.
It's more like everyone on their handhelds worms.
Yeah.
You know, where you're just making
Or like
the worm
snake.
longer,
Yeah, the
longer,
snake worm, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. You kill people sometimes hilariously. You crash into people for death. There's a lot of ways to lose, and it's even better when you make a backstory to your ship.
I agree. I like
My,
this game a
my shout out is Cards Against Humanity.
Of course.
I love this game. It's definitely a great party game. I bring it to work every year for the Christmas party, and we end up having a group of 20 playing this. If you want the innocent version without all the holy crap cards, Apples to Apples is essentially the easier,
clean version.
the clean version of Cards Against Humanity. Cards Against
G
Humanity.
version.
Cards Against Humanity is like the really risque version.
Rated X.
Don't play with your parents if they're a little quorum. If they're not sure about certain like topics.
If
Don't-
they offend very easily.
Yeah.
Don't
exactly.
buy this for little kids, because there are words in there that
You don't.
Yeah.
not
yeah.
PG.
Apple to apples.
Apples to
That's why you play
apples for the
Apple
kids and the people that don't like terrible words. People that are monsters. Cards Against Humanity.
My shout out is the Resistance / Avalon, either or, 2 different themes of the same.
I'd like to also throw in Werewolf.
Yeah, which is a werewolf type game, and what is it with teams? You have teams.
No. So basically, there are teams. So everyone will get a role, and everyone will get sometimes everyone will get a
Faction.
role, and there's a faction you'll be a part of. So there's a good faction who wants to win, and there's the bad faction who wants to screw the good people over so that they can win. In the case of Avalon Resistance, it's a lot easier for the bad guys to win than for the good guys more often than not.
As long as they're good at bluffing.
Even then, like the win conditions for the good guys is win 5 rounds or best out of 3, and even then the evil guys can take it from you. Whereas the evil guys have to prevent you from winning 3 times. They have a last ditch effort and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot. So it's like werewolves, with the secret, your secret card.
But it's more active.
yeah, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of yelling and arguing over teams.
If you play it correctly, because This game, if everyone's like, okay, I'll let you do what you want to do, which I have played, like, those games will go quick, yes, but they're the most boring.
Yeah, you need people that are going to argue with each other.
You need monsters.
Do crazy things for no reason.
So you need a couple monsters, and the only way to make this game better is if everyone is inebriated. No one trusts anyone anymore. All reason is out the window.
Exactly.
And it's every man for himself.
It's definitely, I would say, a good game.
Yeah,
for
and then you play like 10 people.
5 to 10 people.
Yeah.
The games work great at 5, and when you're playing 10, you're going to want to introduce the other roles that they have set aside. Otherwise, at 10 people, it becomes very difficult for like the good guys to win without the craziness, or the games get really boring, in my opinion.
So if you like werewolves, this is
a great alternative if you can't get as many people for a good game of werewolves, which is usually in the 10 plus range.
On a tangent, how do you feel about the one-turn werewolf quick game?
We tried it. It did not work so great. My friend came up with some variant rules where a point system that if you're a villager, you get a point if you survive, but if you're like another character, you get another point if you die, or 2 points.
How does make it one-turn werewolf work?
Okay, so basically, there could be a werewolf, there could be no werewolf. That's the first part I don't like. But after one night happens, if a villager dies and then you lynch somebody, if none of the werewolves are lynched, the werewolves win. If one of the werewolves is lynched, the villagers win.
It happens in one turn, so the game is like 5 minutes long.
So there's like X amount of rolls.
Yeah.
And you just...
Yeah, but...
And like the hunter's still there, the characters are still there.
Yeah.
But there's weird characters where in the middle there's actual roles too, so there's more people than actually playing. And there are characters that you could actually switch someone's card without them knowing. So like while your eyes are closed, you could switch the werewolf. So they kill the werewolf and you're like, we think you're the werewolf. And he reveals and he's not the werewolf anymore. So you might be voting against yourself.
You said there might or might not be werewolves. How do you win if there's no werewolf?
That's the thing. So
if everyone comes to a consensus
Not
that
to kill
there's no werewolves.
Okay.
point. So like say there are no werewolves and everyone survives, everyone gets 1 point. If you are the werewolf and you don't die, you get 2. If you're a villager and you die and there are no werewolves, you get 2, so it adds a bit more complexity to the game. These aren't actually in the official rules, but that's some rules that my friend of mine came up with to add that much more, because you're a villager, you kind of want to die, so now you're making sure that, are they a villager and there are no werewolves? Is there a werewolf? It can add a little bit more complexity to the game. But other than that, the base game on itself, the complexity is not that high. It's kind of boring at times. If you don't play in a dimly lit room enough, you can usually see shadows when people try to do things, or if you don't like turn away, sounds, like if people aren't paying attention, they can figure out who's who, kind of thing. So those are my issues with the game. Otherwise, it's an okay suggestion. Not really. Join us in the next segment where we'll be having a short movie review / feelings on Jumanji.
It's a board game movie.
And we're back for a short review on Jumanji. I guess since it came out in 1995 and most of us have already seen it once or twice or maybe more than that, we won't go into heavy details on the summary, and there will be spoilers potentially, though it is a 90s movie, so we don't know how much that will really matter. So, Jumanji, it came out in 1995. It stars Robin Williams, Bonnie Hunt, and a young Kirsten Dunst, and another kid whose name I don't remember, but you know what? They all do a decent acting job in this movie, given the subject matter of it. So back in the 1700s or whenever, 2 kids bury a mysterious board game and they say, "May God rest their souls." In 1969, a young Alan Parrish digs up the board game and accidentally, through the weirdest set of conveniences, ends up playing it with his childhood friend. I forget her name.
Me too.
Okay.
Sarah Whittle.
In the course of playing, he ends up trapped in the game. She gets attacked by bats, and we move to 20.
She ditches him. She ditches him inside the game.
She was young. What was she supposed to do?
Can you blame her? If some game sucked up some dude in front of me, I'd be like,
I'm
goodbye.
I'm out. I'm more weirded out by dudes getting sucked up into games.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much
What's
you can do.
happening?
You left me to die in the game. You were already in the game by that time. I could not
The
save you.
bats do not matter.
Why did you want me to get trapped too?
26 years later, the house is abandoned. An aunt and her 2
Well, her
kids-
nephew and niece.
Her nephew and niece, basically, they buy it to turn it into an inn. the nephew and niece discover the game because the game calls out to them, and they start playing it. And in the process, lots of crazy stuff happens. A bunch of animals come out, vines, a monsoon.
Alan Parrish comes back.
He comes back, a
26 years
safari
older.
hunter. Yeah,
26 years
well, because
older.
time actually passed in the game apparently for him as well. A safari hunter who wants to kill him. Long story short, they beat the game, and lots of hilarity ensues in between.
They beat the game
Yes.
and
They beat the game, and then Sarah.
they changed the future.
Yeah.
Well,
they
yeah,
changed-
but
beat the game, change the future.
That was-
Jumanji.
This is the original Interstellar.
You mean butterfly effect?
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. More like Butterfly Effect.
All right, so anyone want to
With
give
less
their thoughts
tumors.
on the movie first?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
I remember when this came out when I was a little kid, and it was marketed like crazy, and
Robin Williams was hot.
he was very hot, but I remember I did not really care much for this movie. I didn't see it yet, and I was just like, meh, whatever. And I finally did see it. I think it was like I saw it when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a movie. And so cut to us now rewatching it for this review, and I thought it was pretty decent, good movie that I would show to kids. My kids or like little nieces and nephews. I liked it a lot, but my adult brain kept saying stuff like, why is a plant eating a car? Why don't you keep that knife if it helps? Like
Why
my
are these
suspen-
monkeys so smart?
my
Why are they so
my
smart?
suspension of disbelief kept running away with me. I was like, no, rein it in. And it focuses more, I feel, on the newer kids, the kids more so, because it is a kids movie.
Yeah.
And Robin Williams is there, he's the main character, but it's not solely his movie. It's not so.
He's
it's not-
guiding them.
Yeah, he's guiding. It's not solely his vehicle, even though he gets top billing.
Oh, yeah. I think it's very much, in a sense, an ensemble movie.
Yeah, it's for sure,
And
for sure.
the emotional core does resonate with the kids, with their relationship, with the relationship of the kids with the adults, and the adults themselves with each other. And I think it really does hit an emotional chord, surprisingly, for a kids movie in the 90s. Kind of a la Home Alone, where it's a kids movie, but there's still that very emotional story that you don't really find
And
all
the kids
time.
aren't freaking out all the time. They're actually pretty active.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting in there, okay, I gotta save this thing, or I gotta go get this and that. I did like the little fourth wall they broke, where it's like, oh, my dad's axe is in the shed. So the kid runs to the shed, picks up an axe, starts hitting the lock on the shed. Then you realize he's hitting an axe, and he looks at the camera, and he's like, and he just goes back. I love little fourth wall stuff like that. You're not gonna say anything, you just look at the camera, you get the point, and you move on. I enjoyed this movie. The second time around, I actually enjoyed watching it again.
I think I enjoyed it a bit less the second time. I had fond memories of this movie. It doesn't hold up as well as I remember. My main gripe is with all those super intelligent monkeys that are looting stores, driving cars, and shooting guns. How did Robin Williams survive in this jungle with super intelligent monkeys?
Because he tries to talk to them at first too, and then the cop is like, "Well, what is he doing?"
But imagine everything that's happening. He had the hunter in there,
Yeah.
the monkeys, the alligators.
The mosquitoes.
How is he still alive?
The mosquitoes.
Robin Williams, the superhero. Honestly, I feel like if we had played this game, what would have happened is that we all would have gotten trapped, knowing our luck. Yeah, you're in the jungle. All right, I'm gonna save.
We all roll fives.
We're all stuck in the jungle.
And we're all dead.
The end. Honestly, this movie should have been 30 minutes long. He gets trapped in there. Alan Parrish is dead. Moral of the story: when you find board games, do not play them.
When you find board games buried in the ground.
They'll have drumming solos to track you.
Do not play with garbage, kids. That is the moral of Jumanji.
When I watched this Kid Like Ellie, I really enjoyed it, and I had very fond memories of this movie. I did not find that this movie held up. There are movies from my childhood that I've rewatched, and I still like. I still like Hook. I still like Labyrinth. But this one, it was almost painful to watch again. There was so many plot holes. There was so much things. I couldn't suspend my beliefs. Suspend my beliefs. I was like, I couldn't get back into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't think of a redeeming thing about this film except for the acting maybe. And for the time, maybe the special effect.
Yeah, CG monkeys.
It wasn't.
I have to say, yeah, I think the thing I liked about it is actually the graphics weren't so bad. I liked the sand scene where the kid's getting sucked up. I'm like, wow, that actually was well done at the time. Didn't like the lion so much. You could really see that one was a little weird. The monkeys were dicks. I hated.
Is it a real line?
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it was
no.
a plush.
No.
The line was a mix between CG at certain points and like
Animatronics,
animatronics,
yeah.
puppet going on. Same with the
the monkeys. I hated them. A few scenes I was a little like, why is this kid being allowed on this like whole scene where like workers are just walking around, kids just walking in, and then he just finds this thing. He's the only one hearing this drumming happening. Everyone's like, oh, just gonna walk away, and then he finally finds it, and then like one person is just like, is that a kid? And then he's like, bolts. I'm like, really? Now you're gonna pay attention? So I found that scene was
because
garbage.
his dad owns the land. I don't know.
His dad owns the town.
Yeah. So I found that was funny. I like the part where the hunter, when he gets out of the board game and goes to go get another gun, and he's just like, they're trading all these like his ridiculous
coins.
His coins for it, and the guy who's selling the gun's just like, you're not a postal worker, are you? Basically, like, yeah, he's just gonna kill people. I really liked I like that scene. Movie was good. Great, no. Robin Williams has had better. I think Hook is definitely one that.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna talk about great Robin Williams movies,
That's probably another topic.
well, I'm gonna say Flubbers.
Jumanji's definitely better than Flubber.
Jumanji is no flubber. I'm sorry, Robin Williams.
I'm going to disagree with you, Ali and Keith. I think this movie holds up a lot better than most movies, kids' movies at least from the 90s. I think the CG is not, let's just say, not like Jurassic Park level quality, but they did pretty decent CG for 1995, and it doesn't look super fake as all get out. At least the monkeys do, and some of like obviously some of the things like some of the rhinoceroses, the elephants, like sometimes those look a bit very fake, or that scene when he gets sucked out looks very 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, ah! Obviously you can tell now because of better quality television, like you can see a bit more of the edges, whereas on the older TVs that would be smoothed out. So, but I also do like the fact that as much as they are using CG, they are using practical effects to the same extent too. So you get a very good mix of that, and that really does help the movie feel like there is a sense of realism, there's a sense of groundedness in it. When he's getting sucked in through CG, but then it turns into a real effect where he's stuck in the floor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know what they do? They must break a ton of those sets because a lot of crazy stuff happens in it. One thing I do want to bring up, this movie is really 90s. Like Kevin mentioned, kid walking on a restricted area with nobody doing anything.
Those were the days.
Well, yeah, remember, that was the 60s. So this is a 90s movie depicting the 60s,
yeah.
where kids can just do whatever they want.
No, but it's still like that, sort of, to some extent, in the 90s. It's like, how do you deal with a bully? Well, just go take your lickings and then fight back.
Worst parenting ever.
You say that.
What are you talking about? You call him a turkey.
Well, no, but then later on, the dad does say, "Oh, yeah, so your mom did tell me it was multiple boys picking on you, not just one.
Yeah.
Oops."
No, but it was still a kind of effect, like, you know, that was a very 90s thing to do. It's like,
just
go
suck
deal
up.
with your own problems, kid. I got things to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
If it happened today, they would have all been suspended.
basically.
Written warnings.
No, it would be pretty crazy. Parents would be complaining. Anyway, one thing I do want to bring up, Jumanji as an actual board game does not actually make sense. Because what are the rules to the game? Roll dice, bad stuff happens.
Yeah, survive the bad stuff.
That's
Survive the card that you just picked up.
So how does it work in the real game? Is it like
I do not
I don't know.
you rolled a 5, get punched in the mouth?
I think it was a lot of just like very much Snakes and Ladders, Candyland kind of thing. Roll,
Go back,
go back,
so
go forward,
yeah.
draw a card. You can't play your next turn.
Two things I want to mention. Number one, I like how the kid tried to cheat, and it's like the game's basically, no, straight up, he just goes, no, you can't do that. You're a monkey now.
And then that makes you think, oh my goodness, are all those monkeys people that cheated? That's why. But then still, again, they would have been stuck there before Alan got in the game.
Yeah,
that's why they're so smart.
How can they ride bikes and shoot guns? Still. Bikes weren't invented just yet. Cars weren't invented
Who's to
just
say this
yet.
is the only copy of Jumanji?
The other thing I want to say is I like the scene where like the kids in the 90s find the board games and you see it stacked upon other board games. I'm like, ugh, who plays board games nowadays? I really like that scene. I was just like,
A scene.
I play board games.
Yeah, but when that movie came out, like, board games were Monopoly. Board games were
exactly,
the game of
Yeah,
life.
It was either Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley.
It was in the 90s when everyone was like, internet, computers, ooh.
But
honestly,
but I liked how that like watching that part. Watching that part now, I'm just like, oh man, I like where we've gone back to board games. Things are really.
But this is the 60s.
Yeah.
no, but actually,
No, that was the 90s in this one.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's the kids.
When they find it again.
Newer
In
kids.
regards to that, because you can see there's a point where it's showing that it's in the 60s, late 60s versus now the 90s. The piece starts moving by itself, and she's like, "It's magnets," because it's the
Yeah, no. Alan says it must be magnetic or something.
yeah, and then in
Cuts to the future.
90, it must be microchip.
And then cut to the future again. If they reboot Jumanji, it'll be like nanomachines.
Nano machines, yeah.
Or holograms.
But one thing, I don't know if this is gonna make you like the movie even less, because we're talking about CG and stuff. But 1 month, it's a '95 movie. 1 month before this came out, one of my favorite movies came out, Toy Story. So I think that's why I like Jumanji even less, knowing that, because they came out at the same time.
Yeah, but one was in production for way longer.
Toy Story is so much better.
But it's also a different type of movie.
So much better.
I'm not disagreeing. Different type of movie. Actually, another thing that this movie makes it so 90s is the Home Alone-ish kids do crazy elaborate plot sequence in the supermarket.
That was crazy.
So basically,
in the Walmart, basically.
the Walmart, and the kid basically sets a whole bunch of goo on the floor to trip the guy up. He sets up a boat with air canisters to launch him across the
How
store.
do you even set that up?
No, because you see him building as he takes a boat. And then he takes two, I guess, air tanks.
Yeah,
Those
because-
are heavy.
So
No,
but
but
you
I'm
see
saying-
him dragging it, and then he puts it down, and then he mounts it up to a
Like a dumbbell, a barbell.
not a barbell. What do you call it? A weightlifter? What do you
Yeah.
call them?
No, but
Weight bar.
he
Yeah, but
drops-
and then he manages to lift this up, mount it, and he drops it, and it shoots it like
Yeah.
a rocket to get the guy out.
Let's put it
Which is
this way.
crazy.
Home Alone.
It makes
Yeah.
It's a Home Alone
definitely
sequence
Home Alone.
that a lot of these kids' movies have since that movie came out.
Why was everyone
All-
looting? What's up with
Because-
that?
Also another one of my
Well,
points.
because the town went so poorly. It was because remember Alan walks through the town and it's gone to crap.
Yeah.
Like because the shoe factory went down, it's not prospering anymore. Downtown has become like a respite. Like
So like locusts are on the loose, and monkeys,
Well,
No,
no,
but
but
then-
locusts, monkeys, and a stampede.
Stampede.
and people are like, let's start looting.
yeah, and there's like let's do
Pretty much.
everything.
It's terrible.
I find that's the most believable part. Like, look, people riot after hockey games, people loot after sporting events, people loot all the time
the police
now.
can't do anything and they have to call in the National Guard.
I
Well,
feel
especially
like,
plants are eating your car.
I feel like locusts, like meat-eating plants, stampedes, and locusts.
They weren't locusts, they were,
I am out of here.
Mosquitoes.
I don't know.
Super fat
I see that and I'm like, end of the world. It's the 60s. Everyone's super religious.
90s. That was the 90s.
Still 90s. People are still, well, not really. But you see locusts come, you see plagues. You're like, end of the days, I'm going to go out with a bang. And if it's not end of days,
What are you gonna do with that TV's end of days?
One thing that was really weird to me was like it was a visual gag. The stampede goes by, and then you have like that lone rhino, like, and it looks back at the person. Hey, how you doing? And it happens twice, and I was just like, this is weird.
You know who that reminds me of? Ali.
Like it happens when the stampede happens, and it happens like later on when the aunt comes to check up on them at the house, and she's like.
I guess some final points to go on.
Shout out to David Alan Grier.
Yes, David Allen Greer, hilarious in the
Poor
movie.
guy, everything bad happens to him.
Oh man.
He deals with it still very well.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree. I'm very impressed.
Turns it around.
Young Kirsten Dunst acting makes me wonder what happened.
I don't. What was cool is that remember when the aunt calls the house to find out what's going
And
on,
she does that
and she
British
does a British accent out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, that's actually impressive.
Yes,
but
I
she
like-
has done a few movies like that though.
No, I know. I'm just saying, it's like, what happened? Why didn't she bring that kind of talent to the Spider-Man movies?
Because it's a comic book movie and it's Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I know. But either way, I thought the acting overall was good.
Sidebar in French, they keep, like in the French dub, which is dubbed here, they keep it in English, but she has like a normal voice.
Okay.
Yeah, like a normal North American voice.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That would be the
Interesting.
equivalent.
Cute.
And it was subtly a semi-Christmas movie because of the last scene.
Yeah.
Well, because they finished the game, it goes back in time, and they basically get to keep all their memories.
And they save
they get to
Kirsten Dunst's parents.
Yeah, except they'd almost like still go on their trip. Like, yeah, we're gonna go on a trip, and they're both
We're gonna
like,
go to Canada. No!
Quick thoughts before
And the kids don't know who they are, right?
the kids won't remember because they do, but
Because
they
it didn't
don't.
happen. Okay.
Any quick thoughts?
I just want to thank this movie for giving us our famous catchphrase, Jumanji!
Jumanji rules.
Jumanji rules!
Because of this game, whatever, if you cheat, well, obviously we can't turn you into a monkey, but we do say once the dice fall, whatever is the roll is the roll.
No take back.
Unless you catch it. Unless you
Even
catch
then.
it like when it rolls off the table and you like catch it before it hits the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
You can roll it, but you didn't even know what you rolled.
So basically, it's
Once it leaves your hands, is
Yeah.
Jumanji.
Yeah.
if you try to repeat the move, we just call Jumanji.
If you have a reroll and you pick up the dice, and instead of not choosing to not reroll, you have to reroll regardless of if you didn't want to or not. Final thoughts on the movies. It's fairly well acted, I think, for the time. I think they got some decent kid actors for sure. Kirsten Dunst does good in the role. Bonnie Hunt, who plays Sarah, does the whole manic. I don't really want to play the game, but once she starts playing the game, she's really into it. Robin Williams brings out his A game, as in most movies that he's in. I think it's fun, it's entertaining, it has a great heartwarming story at the core of it, and I think it does hold up a lot better than some other movies probably from the 90s that I can't list off the top of my head right now, but I enjoyed it. I obviously didn't have the same feelings back in 95 when I first saw it, but I enjoyed it now.
This movie makes board games scary, and that you can get trapped. That and monkeys are terrible people. They're terrible monsters. That's my points.
Movie was alright. If you want to see something else with Robin Williams in it, I suggest you go watch The Crazy Ones, the TV show.
Oh, with Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yes. It was good.
I liked it when I was a kid. I didn't really like it, but it could be maybe I just hyped it up too much in my head to watch it a second time. And I think Robin Williams has way better movies than this one, so I would suggest watching some of his other work.
My original expectation of this movie was pretty low as a kid. After getting rid of the saltiness in my mouth, I actually had fun and enjoyed it. I chuckled, I laughed. I wouldn't mind sitting with a kid watching this movie again. I enjoyed it.
If a person hasn't seen it, should they go ahead and watch it? I say it.
Don't go out of your way.
I say yes. Sure. Why not?
I wouldn't say go out of your way, but yeah, I wouldn't say don't watch it. I think it's one of those things you have to watch.
If you can catch it on TV, why not?
Don't change the channel.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
If it's on TV, I wouldn't change the channel.
I say you can do much worse for board game movies.
Yes.
You could do much worse for Robin Williams movies.
Yes.
Agreed.
I would probably say if it was on TV, commercial free, watch it.
Which won't happen.
No, you can always catch it on Movie Encore.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, my parents have the box, so we record something and then when we press play, the commercials are usually gone.
So that was a somewhat short review and impressions on Jumanji. Join us in the next segment where we'll be telling you all the places you can find us on the internet.
Oh, really? Because I thought we're geeking out.
And that was episode 4 of Geeking Out at the Tower podcast. Wendell, you have something you'd like to plug?
Yeah, you'll find me on YouTube on Gaming Well Wasted and also Canadian Slag on cybertron.ca.
This was Andrew, and I was joined by
Kevin.
Keith.
Wendell.
You can find most of our content and information for our Twitter and Facebook and whatnot on goattcast.wordpress.com. You can send us an email at goattcast@gmail.com. We are slowly going to check those out, so send those our way if you have any suggestions for topic and the like. You can also follow us on Twitter at goattcast, and you can check out our Facebook group at facebook.com/goattcast. Thanks for listening and have a good time. What?